The shakeup opens with Nolan and Bishop driving through a cemetery, on the lookout for a grave robber. They come across a man digging up his mother's grave to steal her jewelry and trade it for drug money. He tries to run, but they catch him, and only then do they realize where they are. Nolan and Bishop pause at Captain Anderson's grave to pay their respect. Later, Nolan walks along the beach with Russo, chatting about her visiting more often and his decision to volunteer for a safe house assignment involving one of her contacts. Back at the station, Gray introduces the squad to the new captain's tougher set of rules, something the team isn't exactly thrilled about. Gray also brings up the protection detail Russo had mentioned. Nolan offers to take it, but Bishop immediately shuts it down. Bradford, however, agrees to go with Nolan, seeing it as a chance for some long overdue bonding. As they're leaving, West gets called to the front desk, where Nurse Gino, Cameron J. Armstrong, has shown up to return a few things West left behind. West quickly gets defensive, saying he wants to keep his personal life separate from work. The two get into a heated exchange before Gino storms out. Meanwhile, Bradford briefs Nolan on protection detail procedures as they head out. While out on patrol, West and Lopez break up a heated argument between a civilian and someone claiming to be an officer. The civilian says the cop offered to tear up his ticket in exchange for cash. Lopez quickly figures out the man is pretending to be a police officer. They manage to restrain him and bring him in. Captain Weatherby, Greg Cromer, stops by Gray's office to go over his decisions and monthly reports, which leads to some tension between the two. After Weatherby leaves, Russo drops in to talk about the challenges Gray's facing with the new captain. She advises him to find a way to navigate around the captain's methods rather than fight them head-on. Meanwhile, Bishop and Chen respond to a call involving a girl whose boyfriend has been locked inside his house by his mother. Hearing strange noises from inside, they enter the home and find a bizarre altar set up in the living room. Upstairs, they discover the mother in the middle of performing an exorcism on her son. Chen then gets a call from her mom saying her dad was attacked by one of his patients and taken to the hospital. Bishop insists that family takes priority and drives Chen there herself. At the hospital, Chen asks her father, Patrick Jim Lau, who hurt him, but he refuses to name the patient. He believes the mentally ill are often mistreated by a flawed legal system. Nolan and Bradford arrive at a safe house, where they're assigned to protect Brad Hayes, Joel McHale. Hayes is a former Border Patrol agent who switched sides twice and is now set to testify against the cartel. As Nolan and Bradford assess the security of the area, Hayes tries to strike up a conversation. Bradford warns Nolan not to engage with him, but Hayes ignores that and brings up Captain Anderson. He continues to chip away at Nolan's guard by commenting on Bradford's superiority complex. Hayes claims he switched sides to serve a greater good and insists he did the right thing. Tension rises when Bradford discovers the cartel already knows Hayes is planning to testify, meaning the safe house might be compromised. Hayes wants to be filled in on the situation, but Bradford firmly refuses. Then, an earthquake hits the city, throwing everything into chaos. Hayes claims he spots someone outside, and when Nolan checks, Hayes uses the moment to attack. Nolan quickly regains control and restrains him. Bradford then finds out that backup isn't coming. With no support, Bradford decides their best move is to stay mobile and keep ahead of the cartel. They soon hear noises overhead and realize they're not alone. A gunfight breaks out as Bradford and Nolan face off against attackers both inside and outside the house. Nolan grabs Hayes and escapes through the back while Bradford takes down the gunman. He hotwires a car and they make their getaway, heading to Nolan's unexpected hiding spot, the beach. There, they realize Hayes has been manipulating them all along. He's wearing a GPS tracker, which has been feeding their location to the cartel. As they brace for another fight, Bradford knocks out Hayes to stop the chatter. They then use him as bait to lure out the cartel members, ultimately catching them off guard and disarming them at gunpoint. West and Lopez are dispatched to Bel Air to respond to reports of looting. They enter a house with its alarm blaring, only to be met by a man at the front door, firing an automatic weapon. Forced to take cover, they eventually make their way inside and find someone hiding in a cabinet. It turns out to be the assistant of the homeowner, Tommy Lamont, Dominic Burgess. Lamont, still high when the earthquake hit, is convinced the world is ending. West and Lopez try to calm him down, with Lopez playing along with his doomsday delusion to gain his trust. Eventually, they're able to subdue him using a taser. Back at the station, Gray is dealing with an injury, but with Captain Weatherby out, he steps up and begins organizing the station for emergency disaster response. When orders come in from the captain, Gray passes them along, though he's skeptical about the command to send patrols to Bel Air and his own neighborhood to deter looters. Russo advises him to follow orders, even if he disagrees. Meanwhile, the hospital is packed with patients filling up the lobby. Gino asks Chen and Bishop for help keeping things under control. Chen stops by the room of the boy from the earlier call. He asks about his mother, and Chen reassures him that she'll get the help she needs. Later, Chen talks with her father and apologizes for becoming a cop, saying it's just who she is. She believes she can make a difference in the flawed system. Her father reveals he overheard her earlier conversation and says he was proud of the way she handled everything. Suddenly, Patrick's patient William shows up at the hospital to apologize, prompting Chen to arrest him. She tells him she'll be there after his surgery, but he coldly replies that she shouldn't bother. Meanwhile, West arrives at the hospital to get treatment for some minor injuries and finally has a moment to talk with Gino. He apologizes for being so focused on work and opens up about the pressure of living up to his father's legacy. He also admits he was genuinely worried about Gino's safety during the crisis. The two reconcile. Back at the precinct, the ADA informs Nolan and Bradford that the deputy involved in Hayes' betrayal was arrested for helping him. Chen later tells Bishop she plans to file a mental health report regarding the situation with her father. At first, Bishop assumes it's an attempt to smooth things over with him, but then realizes Chen truly wants to help improve the system. Captain Weatherby eventually returns to the station and scolds Gray for not sending patrol units to his neighborhood. Fortunately, Gray had already made a few calls that led to Weatherby being promoted, getting him out of Gray's way for good. That evening, Nolan asks Russo if she's been hiding the fact that he's still a rookie from her friend. She assures him that's not the case, and that she genuinely likes him. Overall, the shakeup was a decent episode. With a few officers switching partners, we get to see new dynamics unfold, offering fresh opportunities for character development within this unconventional team. One thing's clear, Captain Anderson left behind some big shoes to fill, and these officers won't let just anyone step into them. What did you think of this episode?